Good evening, Geekvolutionaries. Thanks very much for tuning in live. I am Captain Logan, and this is the Captain Logan Show. For the next hour, I'm going to take your questions about whatever under the sun you would like to talk about as far as pop culture and geekiness goes. Keep it within reason, but I will talk about pretty much anything. Joining me, as always, is my wonderful chat moderator and logo creator extraordinaire, Danny Nixon.
Hey, everybody. I'm back again.
He's back. He makes it so that I'm not talking to myself. Thanks for being here, Danny. Thanks for producing the show. Really excited to see everybody. Already seen a lot of folks in the comments. DJ is here. DJ, who has been on the channel a few times, and I've quickly become fast friends with over the last year. DJ and DJ's wife and my wife conceived at close to around the same time, and we've been waiting with bated breath for DJ to have his first child, and he apparently is at the hospital right now, which I don't think he minds me mentioning because he said it publicly in the comments, so surely it's okay. But if not, I apologize, but he's talking live in the comments there, and Danny, I feel like that is like my new litmus test for loyalty of friendship. If you're if you really care about somebody, you'll watch their live show at the hospital when your wife's about to deliver. That's absolutely amazing. DJ, thanks for being here. It's good to see you, buddy. And I cannot wait to see pictures of your child when she's born. John Early just sent a $5 super chat already, Danny.
Yes, he asked, have you seen The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile before I asked you to review them?
No, I had not, and I still have not. I will get to those in the near future. So a lot of people asking me again about the Daredevil Rewind, and I'm sorry that's not out yet. I know it has been several weeks, and Rewind has now been on almost a 2-month hiatus. I have just been really busy with family stuff, and I know I keep mentioning that, but I keep having people asking about it, and a lot of people, or at least a couple people in the comments, were mentioning it just a little bit ago, so I felt the need to talk about it again. I am working on it. I'm going to get it done as soon as I can. Just a lot of distractions right now with my wife being home with the baby, and lots of things going on here, so everybody just give me some time to get that done. And the deal is, my wife delivered 2 weeks early, and that was going to give me, I thought, had she delivered on time, enough time to get that finished. And I was worried she was going to deliver early, and that is what ended up happening. But unfortunately, there are 2 weeks I didn't have to work on it. And of course, it's been a lot more than that now, but now we have a baby in the house and there's other things going on. So anyway, that's what's going on with that. Everybody just be patient with me. Eric and I will be back with the Geekvolution Omnibus. Not next week, but the week after. So look forward to that. We're going to be reviewing lots of stuff for you, and we are excited about it. But anyway, so thanks for being here. If you're here live, thanks for coming after the fact. If you're doing that, I see lots of familiar faces in the comments there. Cinematographic, Blue Dragon 5, David Crabtree. Who else is in here? Lots of folks. Tyler Parker, Dimitri J, Gui, D, Jude Prophet. Jude Prophet's a name I don't recognize. Astronaut Misspelled is here. Kellen O'Rourke, good to see everybody. Thanks for being here. If you would like to ask me a question during the show, feel free to do that at any time right now or through the show. Danny is going to be compiling questions, and we're going to get to as many as humanly possible. Danny, Eric, just a few minutes ago, blew my mind with something that I had never picked up on. I'd never thought of before. And I'm half expecting Danny to just be like, well, yes, this has been memes for 5 years. What are you talking about? But I have to bring it up. And again, this is not my point. This is not a thing I noticed. Eric saw this in an article, and he's not sure if this is what the thing was talking about, but he realized something that he and I had never picked up on, and it just absolutely blew my mind. So I wanted to share it while I was thinking about it. Mark Hamill's name has the word Arkham in it.
Yeah, that's been a meme for well over 5 years.
I'm sure it had. Yeah, I never noticed that before. And I can't be the only one. But yeah, Arkham is in Mark Hamill's name. That absolutely blew my mind, and I was like, how did I never notice that before?
Really? You've never noticed that?
I never noticed that.
I kind of...
Shut up, Danny.
No, I'm not...
I knew Danny was going to be like, well, yeah, duh.
Kind of putting on a play just to
I thought it
do
was
that,
cool.
but no,
I thought it was a cool thing to mention. I thought it was really cool. Never noticed that.
Blew my mind the first time I heard it. I just assumed you would have heard it by now.
Blew my freaking mind. Yeah. Magpie has a $2.99 super chat.
He asks, will Deep Space Babylon 59 return?
I'm not sure about that. I can't say yes or no on that. And I know that I've got a few shows that are kind of up in the air like that right now. The deal is Eric and I don't have as much time to work together as we used to. And we got really overzealous with a lot of the things we were doing. And we're still shooting an 8-hour omnibus. But our time to watch things together has been kind of limited, and we've gotten weirdly off kilter with Deep Space Nine and Babylon 5, where he and I have continued on watching DS9. We just haven't been reviewing it because we haven't been watching it and Babylon 5 together. So we have been for the last 6 months trying to figure out a clever way to bring that back. The main issue is twofold. One, there's not been enough interest in it, so we haven't been able to prioritize it. Those videos tend to average 300-400 views, sometimes less. And the other thing is we're not getting through them as quickly as we want to. And talking about them one episode at a time, we're just looking at the writing on the wall and seeing how long it's going to take. And yeah, we haven't been doing any of it at all in the last 6 months. But once we get back to it, but that's because we're trying to figure out the format. So once we get back to it, we would binge it hard if we had a good notion of how to do it. But the comparisons between the shows aren't as interesting, I don't think, if you're doing it that way. And eventually you end up just talking about Deep Space Nine anyway, because it's a longer show. It's on 2 seasons longer than Babylon 5 is. So we have been kind of scratching our heads trying to figure out what to do with it. And it will probably eventually turn into a bingey thing. It was really fun doing episode to episode. And if that was one or two things we were doing, we would probably get back to it. But we started that show back when Eric and I were not living together, and it was the only thing we were doing. And now we have other things that people latched onto that more people are interested in. So that's been the difficulty with that. John Early also has a $2 super chat.
He says, "I'm curious. Do you like Italian food, Captain?"
I do like Italian food. Yeah. I'm kind of I used to like spaghetti, but I ate it too much growing up, so I'm not really into spaghetti and a lot of pastas, but I like lasagna a lot. So I guess I'm not like a giant pasta guy, but if I go to an Italian place, I get lasagna.
And I had spaghetti for dinner tonight. No joke.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. Are you kind of like an Italian connoisseur, or did that just happen to be what you had?
It just happened to be what we had. It was quick and easy, and we had my sister and her new husband over, so we just did something like that together. But yeah, I love Italian food. I love making stuff like chicken parmesan. So Italian food is 2 thumbs up in my book.
Cool. Yeah, Italian food for the win. Another super chat from Jacob May. Thanks a lot, guys, for the support. We appreciate it.
He says, "Have you watched the Infinity War commentary yet?"
I haven't. I'm not sure if I even want to. It seems like a strange thing to make a commentary for, because I assume a lot of that is just going to be, we wish we could talk about this, but we can't. I bought that Blu-ray. I'm not sure if I'm going to regret that, Danny, because I expect down the road there might be some kind of double set or something. I don't figure special features on that movie are interesting to watch until there's more of it. I kind of expected it to be, I haven't looked at it yet, I don't know, but I kind of expected it to be a lot like the Force Awakens disc, where it's just everything's really hush-hush and they can't talk about anything.
Yeah, this is a weird film to do a commentary on, because it's half of a story, even though it's not a part 1 and a part 2 movie. It feels to me like doing a commentary on it, like he says, is going to be a lot of, yeah, we thought we could have talked about, we wish we could talk about this. I have a feeling it's not going to be a bunch of that. I think it'll be more of technical, yeah, when we filmed this scene, we were doing it like this, because this is the first film that shot something about IMAX was a first for this movie. Did they shoot all of it in IMAX? I don't remember
what that was. Yeah.
I think there will be a lot of talk about that and other
That's fine. That's interesting and whatever, but I don't even think I want to listen to any kind of insights about that movie until I have the rest of it. I'm not saying I won't necessarily watch it. That's just that was my initial reaction to it. It's I wouldn't have put out a commentary on that movie yet.
Jacob May says they address a lot of your complaints in the commentary, so maybe they go into more detail about stuff than we might be giving them credit for.
Okay, but then that's kind of problematic too, because your movie is not necessarily standing on its own enough, right? If they're well, here's all this stuff that should be here but isn't, then they're just doing a commentary to try to complete an incomplete movie. And I don't like that either. And also, it's weird if they're doing that, but we're also going to get the Thanos cut later, because then I would imagine, and he can tell me if he wants to elaborate, that they're just going to tell us about scenes we're going to get to see later in a more complete cut.
Yeah. Grady
I don't
Child.
want to listen to those guys for 2.5 hours trying to explain a movie to me that I don't think fully it comes together. Like,
yeah, Grady Childs asked if anybody's going to wait until the Avengers 4 comes out and they put out like a 2-pack of it. That's what I'm going to do.
I
don't buy a whole lot of Marvel.
I want to watch it again, like, and I don't know when I will, because I do this a lot. I'll buy a superhero movie and then I won't get around to it because I'm watching requests and things. So much of my entertainment time is for requests and stuff for the channel. But we might do a movie night on it at some point here. But anyway, so I don't know.
Yeah, the next super chat is from Pandora. Thoughts on Teen Wolf's Tyler Hoechlin returning as Superman and Lois Lane being introduced in the Batwoman crossover?
Yeah, that's really cool. Is this because I haven't been watching the shows? I think this is the first time he'll have come back since the first time we saw him. I don't think they brought him back.
I think so. I haven't seen a whole lot of photos of him or news about him.
I'm sure somebody will tell us
like a bunch of episodes, and it just wasn't that big of a deal.
I looked this up like a year ago, and I didn't think he'd been in, but maybe he has since then. Anyway, so I will tune in just to see him play Superman again, because I really like him, and I think he did a wonderful job, and I wish they would spin him off, or at least let him be in that show more. But yeah, so that's exciting, and it'll be interesting to see what their Lois Lane is like, and how much chemistry she has with Superman, because and it's kind of funny they keep kind of backdooring characters off screen like that, because we kept hearing about Superman and seeing him in silhouette that one time, which was really goofy, in Supergirl, and then he shows up and then he's having like conversations with Lois on the phone and stuff, but we don't get to see her, and so then she shows up. If they're finally casting more traditional Superman characters that we keep talking about off screen or having phone conversations with, I really hope we get Alex at some point, because
that would be really cool.
We've had a lot of stuff with his sister, who's a great actress. I think she's wonderful, and I keep meaning to go back to that show just for her. But there's a lot of things about that show that really irritate me. But I like Lena Luthor a lot.
I haven't seen the show. Is his sister's name Alexis Luthor?
No, she's Lena Luthor.
Okay.
And Lena predates that. I'm pretty sure that's the name of, and I don't know if this is the first place we have this, but you've got all these new family characters for Lex that every time we introduce them somewhere, they keep popping up. So we did it with Lionel, and he's been in other things now. And that is his father's name, I think, in Supergirl also. I think that's mentioned. I think Lena talks about her father Lionel, but I could be wrong. It's been a couple of years since I watched that. But anyway, I think the first place I saw it was the twins in Earth 1. You have the twin Luthors. So you don't have one Lex. We split them into a man and a woman. And you have Lex Luthor and Lena Luthor, and she's the more diabolical of the two. And she is awesome. It's one of my favorite versions of Lex, the Siamese twin split. It's really cool.
Nice. I haven't read any Earth 1 yet. You're talking about the graphic novels that have recently been coming out, right?
Yes.
Not graphic. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That's the end of that's at the end of the last one. It's a trilogy. Daniel Davis says Lena Luthor was a Supergirl antagonist in the Silver Age. I didn't know that. So that's good to know. Kellen O'Rourke says ding 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 ding. I kind of lose my mind and just turn into a crazy person every time somebody feels the need to mention the end of that movie. Ding 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 ding.
Oh man, I don't even want to think about that. Don't get me started on Batman vs Superman again.
Red capes are coming. The red random reviewer has a $2 super chat. We are 15 minutes in and we have not gotten regular questions yet. Thanks, guys.
To go back up to some of the other ones we missed. Logan Dodd says, "Have you seen the films?"
Other super chats. Goodness, sorry.
At least 2 more. Mm-hmm. Have you seen the films Ex Machina and Arrival?
No, I haven't seen either of those yet. I need to do that. I know those are both major critically acclaimed movies, and people keep talking about Ex Machina, and I feel kind of embarrassed that I've not seen that yet. But yeah,
it's pretty good.
If anybody really wants to see me do that in the near future, do a request for Patreon, but for the omnibus. But I need to sit down and watch that. I just, like I said, my priorities have been requests lately. It's a good problem to have, but we have so many requesters now that a lot of my extra movie watching, that's what I'm doing. And by extra, I mean just not things I was already doing for Rewind or the Omnibus or whatever. So I know I look really spread thin, but that took off and people really like doing them. And we cut it off at 12. 12 is kind of too many. I should have cut it off more at like 8 or 10. But everybody that's doing it has, or at least a lot of those folks have stuck around and kept doing it. And whenever somebody has dropped, immediately somebody else has come in. And I keep hearing from people who are like, hey Cap, I want to request something, but the thing is full. What do I do? And like, it's a really cool problem to have. Like, I really appreciate you guys. It's absolutely fantastic. And I don't want to say no to it, partly obviously because it's helpful monetarily, but also because Danny, I've been seeing so much stuff I never would have thought to watch or had not gotten around to. I started watching, I'm almost done with it, Cloud Atlas today for Patreon, and that film is fascinating. I'm really excited to talk about that. I'm going to do a solo show next week to catch up on a few requests, and I'll be talking about that, and I'll also be talking about Dirk Gently. That's another one that somebody requested that I had not gotten around to watching. That show based on a Douglas Adams book that I got 200 pages into and got bored and stopped reading.
I heard a lot of good things about that show when it was coming out.
So. Yeah, it's quirky and horrifying. It's amazing like how the Douglas Adams stuff works in it. I don't know. It's like it's really dark, but it's also very much that sensibility, and I would not think those two things would go together as well as they do in that show, but it's really cool.
The next super chat from Super Nerd, considering a top 10 for Justice League Animated Series and Justice League Unlimited, are you considering a top 10?
Yeah, I would like to go back to the top 10 model for the DC animated universe, time permitting. I've not been doing the top 10 thing as much lately for TV shows because I wanted to try my hand at the season overview thing, and I did one for Power Rangers, and I'm trying to get through one with Daredevil, but Daredevil's a lot harder for obvious reasons, but like, it's like a 13-hour movie, and I'll just come out and say it. I did not feel like that was a thing that I could get away with just watching through once. So I did a note-taking watch, but I'm doing another watch because I just did not feel confident to go ahead and sit down and write about that. And especially because of how many weeks it was that I had to do that. So yeah, I know that will probably drive some people crazy. Oh no, we're having to wait for a second watch. I'm getting there, but I'm not. If I'm going to do it, I got to do it right. So
before we get to the next super chat, Hawk Flame asked, have you seen the Black Mirror episode, particularly the Star Trek tribute episode? He has. There's actually a video on in one of the omnibuses about that one, so just to go ahead and address that so people who are interested in that.
That's right. That's in a Primetime Crisis. Yeah, we didn't love it like the rest of the world did. There's a lot of really cool things about it, but ultimately I don't think it comes together. It's one of the weaker of the few Black Mirror episodes I've seen. But I've only seen a handful. So
the next super chat from Random Reviewer: when are you getting back to Telltale Batman?
In fact, so as far as gameplay, I don't know. I'm not sure if we'll actually have a chance to finish the gameplay videos that we started for that. It's just a time of the day issue, really. Like I said, the requests have kind of taken over. But Eric and I are playing through the second season right now. We'll be talking about that on the omnibus, if not this one, the one after. We're 2 episodes in. We've got 3 more left. So hopefully we'll be able to finish it before that next omnibus happens. We'll be able to talk about that for you. But I may, if Eric doesn't have time, I may live stream and finish the Telltale, the first season Telltale Batman myself. But if there's enough interest in it, but anyway, but we're definitely going to talk about it too. So yeah.
Okay, I believe, unless I missed something, and I'm going back up through, that's up to date on all those super chats.
Okay, thanks for all the super chats, guys. We sure appreciate it. There's another one.
Yeah, just right after I say it. From John Early, he asked, do you think the Arrowverse Flash has good enough episodes for a top 10 list?
Yeah, if I were to do top 10 with those, it's also a thing I would have to wait for it to be over. And there's no signs that those will ever be over. Those shows, I really want to think that they would cap them off at 7, but they're not gonna, right?
I would have thought at least with Arrow, you cap it off at season 5.
Well,
catch back up.
If they had if they really had, this is going to sound awful, I'm going to get in trouble for this. If they really had story integrity, I think they would have done that.
Yeah, if
that was kind of the premise, right? That was kind of the setup. Like, why would you keep going after the flashbacks when that's your structure?
Yeah, what are they doing now? Do they just abandon that completely, or are they flashing back?
No, I've not watched season 6, and it's already over now. And man, what kind of world do we live in now? Like, we're already past Arrow season 6. Where did all that time go? Feels like just yesterday when Eric and I were like, "So, when do you think this show is going to cancel?" And then
I know,
never.
I think it'd be great if they were just reusing footage from season 1, so you could go back, go binge watch and rewatch.
Oh, that would be amazing! Yeah, we're like, yes.
Finally, Arrow got good again. It's because they're just replays.
And we only ever compare what he's going through to whatever he was dealing with 5 years ago. Even if we already saw that happen, we just fill in the blanks for things. And what's funny about that is we've already done so much like retroactive adding of things in that show that to then do it even more with flashbacks, that would be amazing.
Is Ollie still...
Oh, Matt says they're just not doing flashbacks. Why? I respect that.
Yeah. I wonder if he's still debating on whether he should kill or not, and if that's still an ongoing thing with him, like it is seemingly every season that I've ever seen of that show.
It probably is. Yeah. Well, and like I read the back of the box for season 6 because I saw that at a Target or something the other day, and it was like, and Oliver's friendships are strained with like this laundry list of people, like 8 characters. It's like, here are all the people that Oliver still can't get along with.
Nothing has changed. He's still mad at Diggle for something. He's still mad at everyone else.
It's amazing to me because like it's hard not to go off of circumstantial evidence and just like what you see day to day, right? The circles you run with. It's hard to imagine that the ratings are still, even for the CW, good enough to keep those shows on, because I don't hear people talking about them like I used to. Apparently they're still watched well enough that, yeah, isn't that weird? Like it feels like it would be more of a niche pocket now. But
so I keep up with ratings somewhat. Not for this show, but just ratings in particular. In wrestling, it's a big thing to keep track of the ratings of the shows for whatever reason among the fans. So when you find a list of what the ratings are, you will usually see other shows that you're familiar with, like Arrow, and it does pretty well for its time slot. It's one of the last time I looked, it was still one of the higher rated shows in its time slot, which is weird to me because I never hear anyone talk about it anymore. It's always, yeah, that show was good, or yeah, Stephen Amell is cool. But
it seemed like it took people a lot longer to turn against it than I would have expected, because I was complaining about how it stopped making sense and didn't have a lot of story integrity in the middle of season 3, and people thought I was crazy. And then the whole thing with like with Ra's al Ghul late, like I think it was like the end of 3 into 4 that like that's when it finally turned people off. And I was like, it took you, or was it 4? I forget. Or was it the Damien Dark stuff? Maybe it was the Damien Dark stuff. But
that's what turned me off from it, which is I think 4. So
man, I don't know how people didn't jump ship before that.
I got too invested. I thought it'll turn around, and I left off at a point where it didn't. And I heard season 5 was good, but I'm not going back to it.
I go this far. Beginning of season 2 is one of, and I've said this before, but it was at the time about the best superhero show we had ever gotten. And it was as good or better than Smallville ever got. Smallville's best episode is season 2 is not as good as season 2, and or is on par, right? I think. Right. And then by 3, and of course it got convoluted, it got wacky, or not wacky, but just it just wasn't culminating. It wasn't making a lot of sense. It felt like by the end of season 2 they didn't really know what they were doing, and then by middle of 3, it was like Smallville season 9 bad. Like it jumped from better than that show ever was to the worst that show ever was.
Yeah, that show is a real roller coaster of quality.
Just my opinion.
Before we get into this next super chat, I want to warn people, it's a spoiler. If you don't want to hear it, mute it, and I'll like make some crazy hand gesture when we're done talking about it and going to the next
for something new, like something
Daredevil season 3.
Oh, okay, yeah. I would ask people to please maybe don't do that in super chats. It's a tough call where to walk that line. But yeah, if there's like a major story spoiler for a thing that hasn't even come out yet.
Do you want me to address it, or do you want to?
Well, it is a super chat. I mean, like I hate to be beholden to people, but people aren't. You know what? Let me read it.
Okay.
And for anybody not actually looking at the super chat, I can read this in such a way where it won't spoil anything. So Tyler Parker gives us $5 super chat. Thoughts on the leaked image for Daredevil season 3? They're clearly doing Born Again. There is an image, and he says what it is. We just won't say what the image is. There's an image that was leaked for that where it's obvious they're doing Born Again. They were setting up Born Again with the last shot we had of Defenders, so that's not surprising. A lot of people that have read that, including myself, were like, okay, well, it kind of feels like you're not anywhere around what the status quo for Born Again is. So like I don't know how exactly you're gonna do that story where you are right now, story wise. But I'm certainly cautiously optimistic to see how they handle it. Yeah, specifically that thing.
I'm interested in it. I'm not going to really discuss it because it's spoiler. So going on to the next super chat from Super Nerd. How would you react if you won a Nobel Prize?
I'd give it back, right?
That was my thought of if I was given one. I'd be like, yeah, you got the wrong person.
Yeah, there must be some other Captain Logan that did an amazing thing. That like I'm not deserving of a Nobel Peace Prize. What in the world have I ever done or will I ever do that's deserving of a Nobel Prize? Yeah, no, I would lose my mind.
I just love the idea of something as prestigious as a Nobel Prize being handed out and announcing the recipient of it as Captain Logan, not even using your real name, just saying, yeah, Captain Logan, you won a Nobel Prize.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the one thing, that would be the one reason I'd like to see it, right? It's just to see Captain Logan written on that certificate, yeah.
The next super chat from Nicholas Robinson. How long before we get Superhero Rewind for the Netflix, I'm assuming, Marvel?
At the rate I'm going right now, maybe, I don't know, when we're all old and gray. No, so I'm working on, and I keep saying Daredevil. There were a couple people that were confused about that. I mean the first season of the Netflix show. So I've been watching through and taking notes. And I'm going to do an overview for the first season of Daredevil. It's going to be like a regular Superhero Rewind, and looking at that like it's a piece, like a movie. I'm not even really going to deal with where any of the stuff from that season goes in later seasons. Like it's very much like looking at that as a thing. And could that or happen, or am I planning on doing that for other shows? I don't know. That's the one I always wanted to make sure I did, and Malik was nice enough to donate to make that happen. And I'm not regularly taking requests for TV shows, but I made an exception with this one because it was a thing that I wanted to do anyway, and that kind of forces me to do it sooner rather than later. So I was like, yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and do that. The other ones, I would like. Luke Cage would be nice to do. I mean, there's a couple others like Jessica Jones. I'm sure I would have a lot to say about. It's just really super time consuming. So if I did it, it would be one every like couple of years, maybe. I mean, like I don't want to make that a priority where like I have to do them because the point of Rewind was always do every superhero movie ever made, and I'm nowhere close. And I've been doing this for almost 10 years, so I've got to get back to movies as soon as I'm done with the season.
The next question from the Wolverine 1987. If you could take one aspect from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and play it straight in a serious sci-fi movie, what would it be? So
are we finally past the super chats? Is this the first thing that's not a super chat question?
I think so.
Wow.
I hope I didn't miss anybody's super chat. I apologize if I missed somebody's super chat.
Just let us know if you did, but is this actually the first question that's come from the list?
Yeah, if you send a super chat and I didn't get to it, you don't have to send another super chat for me to get to that super chat. I'm still looking through the chat, so don't feel like you have to double up for one question. But it's always appreciated.
Yeah, but no, if you did a serious aspect or idea that's in Guardians that you would play more straight in something else. I mean, I don't see Guardians as a pure farce. I mean, I see that as a drama with heavy comedic elements. So there are already a lot of things in Guardians that I would say are played straight. But the big one is Ronan, right? He was played up more as a joke than I think he would have been if he was in a different thing, and probably would have immediately been more interesting because of it. And like I talked about in the rewind, his like the religious side of him and the background with what Novacor did to his family and why he hates them, that all should have been brought to the forefront and could have been a really interesting psychological study, and we certainly could have been more sympathetic toward what he was doing and not just seen him as a whiny brat. And the whiny brat part is what was the kind of pouty bottom lip guy. That's what was supposed to be funny about him. I never thought it actually played. It doesn't come out of that movie, but that's what's supposed to be played for comedy. So if Guardians wasn't a comedic thing at all, I think he is instantly probably a cooler villain. I
agree. I think as it stands right now, he's like the first thing that pops into my mind when I think of weak MCU villains, or their issue of never having. Now, I don't want to say never, but having an issue making their villains very engaging.
I think the issue with Ronan was poor communication. They have had a couple of other villains that were just straight up uninspired, or if they had inspired ideas, they didn't make it to screen at all. Like, everybody say it with me, Malekith. Because the thing with Ronan is some of the things that would have made him interesting are there, but you have to be taking notes before you even realize it.
Yeah. I think sci-fi is a great place to go anywhere when you're trying to tell any kind of when you're trying to tell a story about any kind of modern conflict. And I think what they were trying to do with Ronan and the like religious aspects would have made for a really good setup for just a sci-fi movie in general.
Yeah. Since we're into Netflix Marvel, we've been talking about this some tonight already. I like, if you'll permit me, Danny, to go ahead and answer a question I just saw. Nicholas Robinson asks which Netflix seasons are my favorites and which are my least favorites. And of course, we've reviewed them all, and I'm not going to rank them, but I'll just do the two categories. So actually, ranking them wouldn't be that difficult. Obviously, Daredevil Season 1 is right at the top. I think Jessica Jones, for me, is probably second. Luke Cage is a close third. Luke Cage Season 1, but it has a not as great back end, and I think Jessica Jones is solid all the way through. After that, I would probably say Punisher, and then it would be probably Luke Cage Season 2, and then it's Jessica Jones Season 2 and Iron Fist. Yeah, that's everything, right? I think I did just rank Defenders. Defenders is in there somewhere. No, Defenders is probably third from the bottom.
Okay.
Third from the bottom.
Malik Myers asked, Danny Nixon, would you consider doing a Captain America Civil War rewind this year? No, I would not. I'm assuming that was probably actually directed at you, and he just tagged me to get your attention. So,
Danny, the question is, Danny, would you consider asking Captain Logan if you could do some rewinds so that that guy will get more things on his channel that we want to see? Even if he's not making them, we don't even care anymore. It's just there are these reviews we want to see under the Geekvolution banner. Get them out. We don't even care who's reviewing them anymore.
Trust me, y'all.
I forgot Daredevil Season 2. That was the one. Daredevil Season 2 is probably sandwiched in between Luke Cage Season 2 and what was
Punisher?
The other thing? Punisher. Yeah, it's in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's about where I'd rank the ones I've seen, because I haven't seen Luke Cage Season 2 yet. Haven't seen Iron Fist. Haven't seen Defenders. I've heard so many bad things about Iron Fist that I'm not going to watch it. So I'll just catch footnotes at some point.
Yeah. So somebody make Danny like a 10-minute recap of the best parts of that season.
Or donate to my Patreon and then I'll watch it. No, I'm kidding.
Donate to Danny Nixon's non-existent Patreon. Maybe Danny Nixon does have a Patreon. I don't even know.
I do, for some of my art stuff for a different hobby. It didn't really take off.
Dude, you're welcome to plug that.
No, I closed it down as far as the tiers go because I'm not doing that stuff anymore. Anyways, getting back into the actual questions from Daniel Davis. Love the first name. Any superhero-related documentaries you'd like to see? I'd love to see a making of the DCEU/Justice League and how it all went wrong.
Oh man, that's a wonderful question. I'd love to see something, of course, on the history of Spawn that wasn't like, glowing and praising the ground it walked on. I'd like to see an early Image documentary talking about, since I'm in Spawn, talking about a similar thing. That's better than the one we reviewed a few months ago because it's not great.
I think there's the one on Sci-Fi that just regurgitates everything from that documentary.
Yeah. The big one that I'd like to see is are we just talking about comic book stuff, or are we talking about superheroes in general?
Superhero related, so it
okay.
doesn't
So this is also a comic book industry thing, but I would also really like to see a tell-all documentary about what in the world was going on during New 52.
That would be really fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see one on Fantastic.
Oh yeah, of course, that too, and then obviously the big obvious elephant in the room is just Snyder and DCEU and Justice League and all of
that. Going in a more positive direction, I'd like to see a documentary if we still had the people alive and we could really get everyone's full honest story, something centered on the creators from the Golden Age of comics.
Oh yeah,
that just focuses on that, because I feel like any kind of documentary we do about comics as an art form talks about Superman, talks about Batman, talks about Captain America, talks about Wonder Woman, and then it goes on from there. I would love to hear from people talking about the stuff that's just kind of forgotten and how that like industry was kind of created in its infancy, and just hearing everything about that. I think that would be really, really fascinating to listen to.
I also want something on Ben Edlund and the Tick. And somebody a few months ago, when I was asking for ideas for documentaries I could make, because I'd like to make another one, but I haven't gotten started on anything because I don't have the perfect subject yet. Somebody, because I don't want to just do comic stores again. Like I want to do something different. Somebody suggested that I try to make a Tick documentary, and I love that idea so much. I would love to do that. I don't know if I'm the guy, but that sounds expensive and difficult, because if you can't get Ben Edlund, there's no reason to do that documentary.
And getting licensing rights for footage would be probably really hard now that Amazon's got their.
It would be easier if I could get Ben Edlund involved, but that would basically be me trying to get, and I mean, like, I just don't have any clout. That would basically be me trying to get Amazon to let me make a documentary for them. There's no way that would ever happen. So, I mean, like, that's a pipe dream. That's the epitome of a pipe dream. But I'm not going to make a Tick documentary if I can't get Ben Edlund. I mean, I would maybe consider making something that was sort of like, kind of like a brief history thing for the channel, but like a documentary thing where you actually interviewed people. Yeah, if you can't get Edlund, there's no reason to do that. Oh, that was Blue Dragon 5. Yeah, thanks for that idea. I still really want to do that, Danny, and I have considered doing a Tick documentary, but it would be, for the channel, but it would be one of these that you see all the time. That's just kind of the history of this thing. And maybe I could email some people and get some responses back, but.
Yeah, there, little side note about the Tick. I was at my recent local Comic-Con this weekend, and there was like one vendor who had any Tick comics.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot there, and I was really about to pick them up, but they were all really expensive for what I was willing to pay at a con.
Do you know what they were?
No, it was just, it seemed like random back issues. So,
okay.
And I don't know enough about the Tick to know what would be valuable. I'm assuming because of the bins they were in, they were probably overpriced for what they were, and I wasn't just going to go pick up random Tick comics.
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest getting the classic stuff in trade. The Tick is a thing where the majority of it was collected by New England in trade, and then there are a bunch of random one-off one-shots, and most of those are like free comic day issues, and then there are a lot of really silly like holiday things. So there are a few Halloween ones, and there are some Christmas ones, and then there's like Tax Day. That's one. There's a Mother's Day special. Yeah, a lot of weird Tick specials.
Whatever year was that the free comic book day one for them had like Tick in a not a mock presidential election, but in a presidential election of some kind.
I think that's the President's Day issue.
No, it was a free comic book day one.
Oh, was it really? Because there was a President's Day issue, if memory serves. That might have been a reprint. I don't know.
It might have been. I just picked it up on free comic book day. I loved it. It was one of the only Tick things I've read. So I really like that.
I want to review more of that. I don't know how much of the one-shots and things anybody would care to hear me talk about. I own probably 75% of the Tick, and I haven't read a lot of it. I've read all the classic stuff, but all those singular one-shots, or at least most of that, I just haven't gotten around to. They're not going to stick with me. It's one thing. And the reading order is insane. Try to figure that out if you actually wanted to read it in order.
Yeah, that seems like too much work for me. The next super chat from Now Know This. Have you ever played the game The Amazing Adventures of Captain Spirit? It's a game about a kid with a troubled home life who pretends to be a hero. Interesting.
Yeah, I heard about that. No, I've not played that yet. And is that like an Xbox exclusive thing? I don't even know if I can get my hands on it.
I have never heard of it. So I have no idea what system it's on. It's probably on Steam.
I think that's recent. Somebody just wrote Tick Saves Arbor Day. I don't think that's one. I think he's joking, but that might be one.
It sounds real enough that I would buy it.
He does weird ones. Yeah. He does. There are weird Tick things. Anyway, yeah, when you said you only saw one Tick thing, I was curious about that because there is an ongoing right now and it's Cullen Bunn.
But not one Tick thing, one vendor selling Tick stuff. He had a couple random issues.
Did he have the new stuff?
I don't know. It was all in back issue boxes, so I don't think it was new stuff.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying it would be kind of crazy if nobody had the new stuff. I mean, it's only every other month, but it's as mainstream as the Tick has ever been.
Yeah, at my local con, it's a lot of cosplayers and vendors selling back issues of comics.
Oh, Wanderer says it's on PS4 and it's free. I may take a look at that. Yeah. Thanks for
if it's free.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. I was done with my thought. A super chat from Astronaut Misspelled, and I really love this question. If you could choose, well, I guess you can't choose since it's your channel, what would your very last video on the channel be?
It's true, I could choose, but I don't want to be beholden to it. Wow, yeah. I mean, the obvious cop-out answer is, well, there would probably be a video letting everybody know we were done, right? Like,
it's an April Fool's Day video. Everyone thinks it's a joke, and you just go away.
And we put it out on April Fool's Day. We almost did that one year, and the year of the 7, I actually had planned to do a joke video where we got a bunch of old contributors from the channel, and we actually started. We were going to do it. I think a couple people recorded things for it. We were going to do a video with a bunch of people being sad that we were leaving, and then come back the next day with the 7. That's how we were going to announce it, and I decided it was too trollish. Ultimately, I had a couple people that didn't like the idea and didn't want to get involved in it because they thought it was too prankish, and I ultimately ended up kind of agreeing with them, so we didn't do that. But we almost did that. So anyway, yeah, it wouldn't be on April Fool's Day. If we ever have a video that says that we're done, we'll be actually done. No plans for that right now, but yeah, Danny. But as far as like I don't know, like final review or what, because anything I say, people are like, well, crap, we're gonna have to wait till the end of time before you ever actually talk about this.
I personally think the last video you do should just be remaking whatever the first video you put up on the channel was.
Wow, that's interesting.
Or just something Batman 89 related.
Yeah, inevitably, it probably would be that. Yeah, I mean, if we were, because the problem is the first video we ever did, I guess I made 4 rewinds before we did GNN. I mean, like there were those couple of videos that Ryan Flanagan did that don't count because they're not what Geekvolution is now. Back when Geekvolution was a startup social network that were like advertising Geekvolution, so that doesn't count. We wouldn't do that. But I've already redone the first superhero rewind, so we kind of couldn't do that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The first
one's Superman Doomsday, right?
Yeah, and we've done that again. Now I'm gonna have to do 2 more movies about Death of Superman. Oh no! but anyway,
he just
and
keeps dying.
The first was not even that great. I didn't love it, but we'll talk about that on the next Omnibus. But anyway, no, Danny, if I don't know, if I had my druthers, it would be cool if it was some kind of like I don't know, like master list, like best superhero movies ever made kind of, like it would be cool to go off on some kind of really positive high note where it's like a culmination of Rewind in some way. I don't know what that would be, but it would be probably some kind of like mega Rewind list video. That's probably what it would be.
Superhero rewind, and you review all your rewinds.
Yeah, sure. I have.
No, I'm just.
If I were canceling, like Superhero Rewind as a series, like regardless of whether the channel ended, but I think this counts. I mean, I think this is good for either of those. I've always talked about doing like a ranking of the fours video, where like all the movies that got a perfect score, that got a 4.0, a 4-star rating, like rank them, and it would be cool to do that at the end because I keep wanting to make that video, but I'm like, but then I'm gonna have other fours after it.
Yeah, that would be one.
Another one.
That would be one you'd have to do when you finally decide, okay, I've done all the superhero movies up to this point. Obviously, there are going to be more after this, but I'm retiring it because we go back to that video. Well, why isn't this one on here? You got a 4. Well, it came out after this video.
And again, this is not me saying that that's ever going to happen. I know some years I make more of those than others, but I don't have any plan to retire the series. I'm still hoping against hope that I can review every superhero movie ever made. But anyway.
The next super chat from Mr. Roboto. Greetings. Superman Festival. Shall you attend?
I didn't go to the one the last couple of years just because I had other things going on. I hated missing last year because James Marsters was there and I've never got to meet him. Oh, that hurt my and my wife was furious because we didn't know about it. We looked at the list of actors. They only have a couple every year. Too early, where I thought the people that were the headliners were, or rather, the people I thought were the headliners weren't the headliners. They'll have like the 2 headliners, and then they'll have like a few other actors that don't actually speak. That, I mean, I don't mean mute actors. I just mean actors that aren't like doing a talk or something. And James Marsters, Spike from Buffy, and he's Brainiac in Smallville, which was why he was there. He was added later, and I didn't know about it, so we missed it, so that sucks. But anyways, yeah, it depends on who's there next year, probably. I mean, I used to go every year, and I love that show, and if I had the time, I would probably go every year, but it's also a really hot show, and it's all outdoors, and I have a baby again, so I don't know if I'll get to go next year, but...
the next super chat from Pandora.
More super chats. Thanks, guys.
I think we've got 2 more after this one, actually. Will Eric be reviewing Teen Wolf with you?
Just want to say real quick, Kellen Rourke's been real active in the chat, and he's got to get going. Thanks for being here, buddy. Appreciate you. I don't say that for everybody that's saying they're leaving. I just happen to notice that one, so don't feel like I'm playing favorites, but thanks for being here. Anyway, probably not. I mentioned that last week. Yeah, again, it's just a matter of time and priorities and things. That's the thing I'll be doing on my own.
Okay. The next super chat from Nicholas Robinson. You once said that Netflix's Punisher had to win you over with the character. Just interested, what's your history with Punisher comics?
Really limited. I've read more since being friends with Vince, of course. Vince, my old co-host on the channel. He has continued to collect every Punisher appearance ever. He has everything, and I've read a few things because of him. The main Punisher thing I really like now is the second Punisher Max. I've actually never read the original Punisher Max, I'm sorry to say. I'll do that at some point, but I have read Jason Aaron's, and I think it's absolutely wonderful. But Punisher's mostly until the kind of the third act of that. It's sort of in 3. He's kind of background, and it's more of a character study for Kingpin and Bullseye, and that was my favorite Kingpin until season 1 Daredevil. And I think that's my favorite Kingpin now, but they're kind of tied. But that's also partly because I haven't read all of Bendis yet. I'm sure I might feel differently when I'm done with more older Deadpool Daredevil. I did it again. I keep doing that. Anyway, but I digress. So when I was a kid, for whatever reason, I was collecting comics, and I bought stuff a lot from flea markets, and I had about half of or 2/3 of Punisher War Journal, and I read some of that, and it didn't really leave an impression on me. So yeah, I'm sorry, what's that?
I picked the first 12 issues of that up at a con once because it's got one of the first Jim Lee. It's one of the first Wolverines Jim Lee ever drew, and I thought that was cool that I should have that.
That's awesome.
Even though it's
yeah,
it's probably not the first, and because if it was, I'm sure it'd be worth a lot more than what I paid for the whole set. But I thought it was
makes
cool.
you feel good about yourself.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is a pretty cool read. It's very dated with how it's written. I will say that.
Of course, yeah. But I guess the Punisher I think of from when I was a kid is the animated series Spider-Man one. That was probably my first real introduction to that character.
Yeah, the next super chat from Ross Hitchcock. Cap, when do you think we will see Avengers 4 or Captain Marvel trailers and news?
Well, news came out today that said the Avengers 4 trailer is supposed to drop in November. So I guess that's the answer to that. I don't know about Captain Marvel. I would think earlier, right? You'd think you'd get the Captain Marvel trailer before you got the Avengers 4 trailer. And
standard marketing would say we're going to advertise films in chronological order, but
there's
you never know.
Sure, yeah, that would be the intuitive assumption. An assumption I don't think we can make. This is going to sound like a crazy thing to say, and this is not a prediction. This is not a prediction. I'm simply saying I don't think you can assume this. Do you know what I'm saying?
What?
I don't think you can assume that even when we get the Avengers 4 trailer, we'll know what the title is.
Untitled fourth Avengers sequel.
I don't think we can assume that. I mean, I think we probably will, but I don't want to make that assumption. I keep thinking that something about Captain Marvel might have something to do with why they don't want to tell us the title of that movie yet. And if that's the case, we're gonna have to see that movie before they show it to us.
It'd be bold to put out a trailer and not give us a name for it.
I know.
Or just call it
Wouldn't that be
Avengers
nuts?
4. Or just end it with Avengers.
I mean, don't put the number in there. That would drive me insane. That's a horrible idea, because you wouldn't know if they were really titling it that, and then don't put a 4 in it and then not use the 4, because we've never numbered these, and you're kind of like Infinity War 2 and Avengers 4, like, just don't, zero of that. No. But anyway, like, that's a radical notion. I don't think they'll do that, but I'm not going to make the assumption. When does Captain Marvel come out?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I mean, that is post-November, right? Like, that's next year.
Yeah, it's 2019, I think.
See, so that means that that means I must be wrong about that, or they're not going to give us the title. If if they're not giving us the title because of something they don't want to reveal about that movie, then they're not going to give us that title when we get the trailer. But I don't know why we're waiting as long as we are. It's going to feel arbitrary any way we slice it, I think, is kind of my worry.
Yeah, I think they're building up so much hype of what the name might, or they're not. I think a lot of people are building up their own hype of what the name's going to be because we haven't gotten it.
Because this is unprecedented. They've never done this before.
Yeah, so whatever they put out, people are either going to mock it because it sounds stupid, or they think, you made us wait for that? Really?
Or, I mean, best case scenario, it's a big spoiler that they can't help but spoil, and they just wanted to push it back as far as possible, and we'll all go, oh, cool, you're doing that. That's the best case scenario.
Yeah. And I think if that's the case, there will be people who don't understand why it's a spoiler who are like, you made us wait for that? Okay. And then they'll, I don't know. I'm hoping it's worth the wait for people who are following the film franchise.
Blue Dragon 5, Avengers, the big one, DJ 4, Forengers, William Parcell, Avengers Heroes Reborn. A lot of people saying Forengers.
Avengers 4, Electric Boogaloo. It's my pick for it.
I like Forengers.
I do too.
Astronaut Misspelled, Avengers Wacky Space Roommates. Blue Dragon 5 Avengers, they'll return. Yeah. David says Engers. ...
Engers.
Engers. Yeah. Anyway, what else? What else, sir? We've got about 5 minutes left, guys.
The next super chat from Malik Myers Reborn. What films are you hoping someone requests?
Any either critically acclaimed or just like unappreciated gem in the science fiction realm over the last 10 years. because there's a bunch of stuff that I have just missed that I feel really remiss in having not talked about. So movies and also pilots for TV shows. There's a bunch of stuff that I'm missing, and like I said, I'm kind of remiss in it. So and I'm starting to get some of those requests, which I'm really appreciative of, because it forces me to put them front and center, and I need to be doing that. So somebody, and please tell me who it. I still don't know who this is. Somebody for my birthday, I'm sure it was a Geeflution viewer, sent me the first season of Westworld, and I want to get to that soon. But that's a big one that I keep meaning to sit down and watch.
The next super chat from David Crabtree. Is a future Transformers-themed omnibus still on the table? Also, just reserved a table for my first convention, Artist Alley. Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats, dude. Good luck with you. I'm sorry. Can you read the question again?
Yeah, sorry, my bad. Is a future Transformers-themed omnibus still on the table?
Yeah, sure. We're kicking that around. I still like the idea of doing that, mostly to give me an excuse to read some of the Transformers comics, because what little I've read of those, they're really, really good, and I just want an excuse to read more of those. So yes, that could happen. I don't have a date for you yet, but yeah, maybe this year, maybe beginning of next year. But we would like to do that.
That'll be a fun logo to design for the omnibus. So
yeah, half the reason I do those is just to see what you come up with for the logo wise. But yeah, we haven't done a theme one in quite a few shows. I think the last one was Power Rangers, was it not?
Yeah, because it's got the lightning and everything. My favorite to design was the Batman one. That was always fun.
With the Christmas lights?
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, I thought your Ninja Turtle logo was quite brilliant, though.
Oh, well, thank you. I really like the minibus one with Jason's face instead of Eric's.
Yeah, we got comments about that. Yeah.
The next super chat from John Early. Does Avengers Infinity War count as a threequel? I mean, it's a third in the Avengers franchise.
Yeah, I wouldn't say so. Well, okay, technically, I guess, just because, as you say, it is the third one, and it's kind of a sequel to the last one, but it's also a sequel to more Civil War than it. That's the problem, is that I feel like Civil War is the real Avengers threequel, and I've always said that. So it kind of just becomes a title thing. Like, yeah, there are a lot of elements that are harkening back to Ultron, but only by way of everything that came after it, right? I mean, like, it's kind of more, in some ways, it's more like Marvel whatever, number 17 or whatever it is, right? But then you have a bunch of solo movies that don't have that much to do with anything else, so it's not totally fair to call all of them sequels to each other. So, like, you can't totally fully do that, but you're talking about an ongoing series, as I've said before, that has a bunch of one and done movies in it, and so, like, you can't completely do that. But I wouldn't call it a straight up threequel. But that's just because Civil War kind of screwed everything up. That should have been an Avengers movie.
Yeah, I look at the Avengers movies more as like the bookends of a phase or the tentpole events, depending, because with phase
you got to think about it more like comics than movies.
Yeah, so I don't really see them as sequels to each other as much as they are finales or turning points for whatever everything from the last one was building up to. So for me, I don't really think of them as a threequel, a sequel. It's just the next big crossover.
Yeah, like the other movies in Captain America, weirdly, like Civil War still works this way for the Captain America movies. Like, that is a Captain America threequel, but it's also basically the third Avengers movie.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird, but like, yeah, all the other movies work that way, but Avengers not as much.
Nicholas Robinson with another super chat. Who are your top 5 favorite Marvel heroes?
Wow. And this is a thing that probably like changes every so often, because as I've always said, like, I'm more of a fan of Marvel the world before I'm like a huge fan of any particular character. So I can't rank them right away, but like Spider-Man is definitely one of them. Daredevil is definitely one of them. So that's 2. Captain America I never would have put there until the movies. Like, I love movie Captain America, but I've never been a huge fan of him in the comics. So like, other media really skews this and kind of messes with my brain a little bit. So I don't know if he would be in there. This is actually harder for me than it should be. And like Black Panther never was in the comics, but then I kind of fell in love with him in the movies, and so like he would maybe be in there right now as well. So I mean, like I'm gonna for the moment cop out and use. Well, let me also say Silver Surfer's in there, so that's 3. So I guess at the moment that would be my 5 if I can pull different versions.
It just says Marvel, so I guess it means Marvel in all forms.
Yeah, in all forms. I guess at the moment that would probably be my top 5. I think Black Panther has kind of made that list now. At the moment, but there might be something major that I should be thinking of that I'm just at the moment not. But yeah,
no,
that's a great question. Well, yeah, see, but that's the thing is I got my head in MCU, so I'm not thinking X-Men. Yes, no, Wolverine's definitely in there.
Yeah, that's
about Wolverine inches. Sadly, Black Panther out just because he was huge for me growing up. And one of my top Professor X, right?
Yeah.
I'm such a big Professor X fan. No, that's the 5. That's the 5. I can inch Captain America out and use just comic book characters by saying that. Although Professor X, I also fell in love with more because of the movies. But I always liked Professor X, even before Patrick Stewart played him. So
the next super chat from Mr. Roboto, I am just going to read this exactly how he wrote it.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll add some clarification down in the rest of the comments because I'm not quite sure. He says, "The Jackal clones, you the new PewDiePie."
I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a question. I don't know if that's just that sounds like a theoretical scenario. Like
yeah. What are the Jackal clones? Is that something I missed?
That's a Spider-Man thing.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
That's Clone Saga. Yeah, he's saying like the Jackal clones you. The Jackal makes the Spider-Man clone. So like this, like the Jackal clones you. I don't know if he's saying like, does that would you be the new, or he just makes it? I don't know what that means. I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay, I was reading it as Jackal clones, not the Jackal clones you. Okay, the Jackal clones you. Are you the new PewDiePie?
I think that's what he said. Yeah, no. I guess that's the answer to that question. I don't think I have a lot in common with PewDiePie, and I also will never be anywhere in that league popularity wise, nor would I want to be. So.
And I don't watch anything PewDiePie, so I don't know how that relates to anything.
I don't know. I'm not sure why you brought that up. Yeah, because we're both on YouTube. Thanks for the super chat. We appreciate it. Okay. Danny, do we have any more super chats?
No, I think we are all completely caught up.
Why don't we did so many super chats. Why don't you lob like one more good question at me, and we will call it a night unless anybody else wants to holler at us in the super chat.
Okay, I'll look through my list. I had one that I thought was a really good one.
We'll wait.
Okay, here it is. William Parcell. Sorry.
No, you're fine, man.
Go on for hours. What older canceled comic would you like to see brought back or rebooted?
Wow. Good question. For the longest time, it was Spider-Man 2099, but we did that. Like a lot of things that I always wanted to see come back did. Man. That could end up being kind of a stumper. There are somewhat recent things that I kind of hated to see end when they did. Like I was really liking X-Men 92, and I think that could have gone longer. And I think I kind of fell a little bit away from what the initial premise of that, and I kind of wish that hadn't happened. I could have taken the Dan Slott Allred version of Silver Surfer for 10 more years. I wish that had just kept going and going and going, like the Energizer Bunny. But unfortunately, we lost that. Yeah, other. I'm trying to think of like older things.
My go-to for this is always the question.
Yeah,
classic.
Sure.
The question, not the Batman detective. That's
Montoya.
The female Montoya. Yes. I'm a sucker for noir. I'd love to see something with that character brought back and done like that. Kind of. Almost do the Moon Knight thing where you're playing up more of some of his insanity, I guess, in the character where he's so super conspiracy minded. I think that would be a cool way to go with that. If you had any other thoughts on that one before we go to the next super chat.
No, we could go ahead and move on. Well, I'll also say like I wouldn't mind seeing another Lex Luthor solo book. We did that just before 52 and it was great. But yeah, I'm sure a bunch of stuff will come to me right after. I guess another solo Cassandra Cain thing would be nice. I know I bring her up all the time, but like there's usually is a Birds of Prey book, but it's not usually exactly what I want from Birds of Prey. And like good Earth 2 stuff would be cool. Like we did some Earth 2 in 52 and I didn't care for it. I would love, I'm a sucker for the Helena Wayne version of Huntress, and I would love another Helena Wayne book, but I don't know if it'll ever be done the way I would want it to be done. So yeah.
If that Birds of Prey movie does feature Cassandra Cain as Batgirl, the chances of a Cassandra Cain book might go up a little bit.
That skyrockets all of a sudden, and I forgot that there was talk about that.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, nothing's been confirmed on that. So don't anyone take that as a spoiler. It's just rumor territory at this point. But you know, it might end up being what they do. The next super chat from Mr. Roboto. When is the next live creative writing show? The workshop, for people who aren't.
I'm assuming he's talking about the workshop, unless he's just talking about the Q&A we did. Because remember, we did a creative writing Q&A. He might be talking about that. I don't know. So I'm doing a creative writing workshop, and there's still a spot or two left. If anybody wants to get in on that and do, it's a $10 monthly course where I'm doing a workshop with 2 groups. We're meeting a couple of Fridays, 2 weeks in a row is how we're doing it right now. I don't know if that's how the date will change every month, I'm sure. But that begins September 1st and then September 7th, the Friday after that. So if you want to try to get in on that, feel free. But but I don't know if I'll do another creative writing Q&A like I did before. So yeah, I don't know if that'll ever happen again. It could if there was enough interest, but we got a lot of great questions for that. Go back and take a look at that show. There were some tough ones. I felt slightly stumped with a couple of things where I was like, oh, I wish I had time to write about this instead of having to answer it off the cuff. But I loved that show. It was great.
It was a very fun one to help moderate and be a part of. So,
and if anybody has good ideas for other theme shows, let us know. The last 4 in a row, and I don't know how it's been a month. I mean, like I said, I feel weird about this Daredevil thing because people are like, oh man, how's it been this long? I don't know where all these weeks went, man. Like, it's been 5 weeks. I feel like we just got back from the hospital with the baby, but yeah. So
weeks.
It's been 5 weeks.
Wow.
Sarah goes back to work on Tuesday.
Wow, I didn't realize it had been that long. I'm still thinking a week, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks.
Same here. Yeah, that's why the rewind's not getting done. I'm just busy. So anyway, that's But what were we talking about? Why did I bring that up?
The creative, the themed.
Oh, yes, theme shows. Thank you very much. Get me back on track. Yeah, so the last 4 in a row, we've done these, and we tend to have slightly better turnouts for these than the theme shows, which is understandable because those are more niche, and so people will show up for the ones that they're interested in. But we are certainly willing to do more theme shows if people want them, and I like to mix things up a little bit. I feel like these have been great, and I've been having a lot of fun with them, but I want to do one, at least an occasional theme show to kind of break up the monotony of just, we meet every week and we just talk about, whatever. So if people have cool ideas, we'll do one. We did
says 90s animation. My idea would be music, since you're a music guy.
See, I'm horrified to do the music one because I'm rusty on a lot of things, and people will just ask me about bands and stuff, and I'll show you how much I don't know. But we could maybe do a music show at some point, and people just have to bear with me and remember that that's not my forte. And that's the thing about a lot of these theme shows, where I'm happy to get out of my comfort zone, but you got to be okay with a little bit of hemming and hawing because that's what's going to happen.
David Crabtree, excuse me for butchering your name, says a Geekvolution themed show.
I mean, we did like a interview with Captain Logan show, which was kind of like a ask me personal question show. And I don't know what a Geekvolution theme show would look like if it would be sort of like that again, or if it would just be, because I'm afraid it would just be another show of, when are you going to review this thing? When are you going to review this thing? Which we do a lot of anyway. So
it'd be cool if there were a lot of questions about behind the scenes, inside baseball type of Geekvolution questions.
If I get a second, third, and fourth, I'll consider it. If a lot of people want that, then I would consider doing that. Look, David, I couldn't tell that was Jug. How would I know that was Jug?
Mr. Roboto says, when will Danny Nixon create you a theme song? I won't, because I'm not a music guy at all.
No, right now, Danny, let's hear it. Let's hear the theme song for the Captain Logan show. No,
Evolution. Jacob May says a Danny
Wait. That's just the Snack Evolution theme.
Dang it, you caught on.
That's all that was. A Snack Evolution.
I was hoping you wouldn't catch that.
A Danny Nixon theme show? That's a fun idea.
Roast of Danny Nixon. I like that idea.
Oh, I love the Danny Nixon roast idea. I don't know you well enough to do that yet. Oh, man, I could do a roast of Eric tomorrow, but Danny... I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that.
So if everyone wants to see that...
Oh, I love that idea so much.
The Danny Nixon Variety Hour. Okay, everyone's just suggesting stuff about me. I really don't want to make this about me. I just thought it was funny. I didn't want to.
I think it's a great idea. Cinographic says, I thought the Superhero Rewind theme was the Geekvolution theme. I mean, in my head, it kind of is, yeah.
It basically kind of turned into that.
Oh, man. John wants to know when I'm going to stream more video games. I promised I would not do more video game streams until I finally finish that Rewind. So, yeah, I'm not going to come back with more Arkham until I've done that.
Tune in 2020, and he'll finally get back to it.
Don't say that. Don't say things like that. Nicholas Robinson, the Superhero Rewind theme is called Backyard Super Kid, which is by an artist named Justin Roberts, who is a kid's artist. He does great work. I love his music. Met him in person once. He's really cool.
People are suggesting other roasts: a Captain Logan roast, a Dan Torrey roast, a Danny Nixon omnibus.
Well, and I really like the Dan Torrey roast idea. That would have, like, swearing would have to be allowed. We're not doing a Dan Torrey roast without being able to swear. But yeah, that would just be all about how he doesn't have feelings, and yeah, it would be the best. Anyway, well, guys, that's going to be. This is quickly deteriorating, so we're going to go ahead and get going. Thanks a lot for watching. Sure, appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it. Danny, you rock. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. If we do the roast, I am totally game for it. So bring your roast.
I love it. I love that idea, but I don't know. I don't know what like how I would, make fun of you exactly and what exactly that would be. Yeah,
you went a little more than 105 or 108.
You went a little more than 108. Anyway, thanks again for watching. We will see you again next Wednesday night at 9 o'clock Central, and we will do probably some kind of theme show. I don't know what it is yet, but I want to break things up a little bit and do something new. The 90s animation thing is a good idea at some point, but the last theme show we did, I think, was animation, and it was in 2 parts. So I don't want to bring animation back right away. We'll do something. Maybe Danny will just pick a singular superhero and talk about that for an hour. We could do a Superman show. We could do a Batman show. We could do a I don't know. There's all Spider-Man show. We do all kinds of things.
Yeah, I'd personally like to do a Superman one, because there was a question from a few months ago at this point that I thought was a really good question. I've got it. I could go back and find it, and I think it'd be a really good question to talk about. So
okay, yeah,
at some point.
Great. We'll kick that around. That's fine. Maybe we'll just do a Death of Superman show. That's a joke. That's not going to happen.
Do it from the Death of Superman bathroom.
I like the Star Trek theme show idea, but I think 5 people would show up for that. But
there'd be no moderator. There'd be no need for a moderator.
Well, anyway, thanks a lot, folks. No, it'd be fun to have you here so that you could misread names of characters and species.
I'd have to try to read everything in Klingon. Please, if we end up doing a Star Trek theme show, everyone submit their questions in Klingon.
Submit your questions in Klingon, and then we'll just have to Google language Google translate all the comments. No, I was just gonna say Danny would be like he would just be reading all these things, because Danny doesn't know anything about Star Trek. He'd just be reading all these comments and be like, what in the world's a tac-tac? What is a tac-tac? And then I would have to explain what a tac-tac is.
They mean a tic-tac?
No, a tac-tac. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, folks. Appreciate it, and we'll see you again next week. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Danny Nixon.
Later, everybody.
Later.